welcome to the Life Career Roadmap with my special guest, Erica Urquiaga.
Well
Did I
done.
say it right?
Yes, you did. I think you would. If anyone would, it should be you.
You.
Yeah.
So, Erica, welcome to the Life Career Roadmap YouTube channel. And I welcome you with so much happiness in my heart because I have been thinking of you for so long, and I'm glad you are here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Like I said, it's been cheering you from a distance since we met 2017, I think, when we first met. And
Yes.
yeah, I've been keeping track of what you're up to, and you're doing wonderful things. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, oh, thank you for coming. So, Erica, it's Erica or Erica? How you say really your name? How you feel your name when people call you? What's your
Well,
identity,
my identity is Erica. So
Erica?
that's yeah, how I've always been called. The challenge is, I don't know if you want me to jump straight into here, but my ID is actually Maria Erica.
Maria Erica, it's so cute.
But I've never been Maria. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm only
Yeah.
Maria when not even when I'm in trouble with my parents. But it's basically being, it's a Catholic country and everyone was Maria something, but it was just there for that. We didn't really go by the first name, but migrating to Australia, you go to a doctor's appointment, you go to everything, everyone drops the second name.
Yeah.
So I have to be hyper alert that Maria could potentially be me.
So you just no.
So I kind of say yes, and it does create problems sometimes because then it gets combined. And yeah, but anyway, in Erica, except if you check my passport and my driver's license and all my official identification.
There is something else. Like me, the same. So, Erica, yes, I would like to ask you the two first questions combined. So, you mentioned a little bit about your background. I would like to know where you come from and what is your professional background.
So I come from, to be specific, a little town called Dipolog City, which is in the south of the Philippines. So it's in the bottom island of Mindanao. That's where I was born, and that's where I was until I guess I migrated to Australia back in 2000. So I was 18, showing my age now. My profession, I am currently working in people and culture or human resources, but through the last I've been in Australia about 23 years now, and that's been, majority of my working life. I have chopped and changed, I suppose. I'm one of those with, I guess, what they call a portfolio career, not a linear career. So
wonderful. So, I know we have so many similarities. You have been talking, and this is one of them. Having one person with multiple careers and multiple abilities, right? Oh,
yeah.
that's so wonderful. That's why normally I say to newcomers, you are not your job title. Forget about. You have more than that. You are more than that.
And it's very important because we do get stuck in. I didn't. When I first, I guess, changed jobs and it wasn't my decision, and I think I spent like 6 months just trying to get it together because my identity was so much tied into the work, the job.
So before you go to identity, I want to go back when you were little and asking you, when was the first time, if you are aware, when was the first time that you saw yourself moving away from where you were born, migrating to another country or another city? How was the first thought, or when was the first thought that you had about, I'm going somewhere else?
I think I was 17. Yeah, I think I was 17. So growing up, my mum had always been coming to Australia since I can remember, since I think I was year 4, year 5. So she would be here and she'd be back home. And I'm fairly certain it was when I was 17, she asked if I wanted to come here. So my parents were like separating. It was not good kind of thing. And I've got 2 older brothers. The middle one, I'm the youngest, and the middle one and I made a pact that, you go, I go with mum, he stays with dad. And yeah, being the youngest, I guess I was the one that was easier to process the papers for. as everyone that's migrating knows. If you're processed as a dependent, much easier. So I was the only one that was under the, I guess, not an adult at that point in time. And for me, the decision making was, and I still doubt myself if it was smart or not, but the key driver for me in saying yes was I wanted to go through life on my own merit. One could say I wanted to make it harder for myself. Back home, my dad just had this idea, what was the point of going to a good university? What was the point of studying when you were just going to ask your uncle for a job or, your auntie for a job? So I guess you could say that I rebelled against that. And I decided that, I'm going to go somewhere and, I don't know, do it hard, do it on my own. And yeah, there were times I kind of regretted it. It would have been easier.
Brave girl.
But I don't know. I think there's just a lot, but that definitely was my key driver. At 17, I remember having that conversation with my dad, going, you know what, I'm actually going to go because precisely of what you've just said. You can ask so and so, and you'll get in, and just didn't want it. And so yeah, I can remember the day I arrived in Australia. It was June 3, 2000 at 5 a.m. So winter in Melbourne, coming off the back of summer in the Philippines. The regret kind of came through pretty quick.
I can imagine.
And I hibernated. Like, I couldn't deal with the cold. I didn't like it. There was no people. My only socialization was the chat rooms back in those days, like MIRC. So my touch typing, I'm really good at touch typing now because of that time in my life. And most of my friends was either nighttime in the Philippines or in the US. So I was awake at night and asleep during the day, but got through it. Got there, still here.
Yes. Well. So let's go back then again to Philippines. So you did your degree in arts, business, psychology, HR, right? It's everyone combined, but this is in Australia. Before you come to Australia, did you decide to do this degree, or you had something else in mind and end up moving with a completely different idea about your career life?
So I'd already done 2 years of university in the Philippines, and I was doing psychology. It was a Bachelor of Arts in psychology. And I think the one key difference is the workload when you're at university. So when I came here, I arrived in June, but I didn't start uni until, February the following year. And there was a time there, I think I got really homesick, that I thought, you know what, this isn't going to work. I'm just going to go back to the Philippines. But, everyone kind of went, just stick it out, give it a chance. So I did my first semester at uni was just the psychology part. Okay. But because full-time load in Australia is 4 units? And I was used to, high school, we had 8 subjects, and that was 8 subjects every day. And university also was, I think part-time was 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. So when I started uni here, it was actually, I don't know, I realized I may have been smarter than I was, or I just wasn't. It's a different mode of learning, right? Because I think in the Philippines, it's a lot of you memorize and you spit back, while here it was more of a you make sense of it. Yes. So I decided that I needed a bit more of a challenge, and that's how I ended up with a double degree, and that's how I kind of went down the HR side of things, because it's like psychology, but you don't need the extra study, was my initial logic, because I figured I'd be done with study after my undergrad. And then lo and behold, after a couple of years off, that's when I learned I was a nerd and I would miss studying. So could have done that way, but gone this way instead.
Okay. So, but it was a decision to do psychology back home, or was something that someone else told you that would be a good for you, or a teacher, or because you didn't know what to do, you just chose something?
It was actually it was a decision that someone kind of pointed out to me, that you're really good with people. It was an off-the-cuff decision of, it was a cousin's friend that kind of went, you're really good, like you have this really good read of a situation. I picked psychology. My mum did not want me to do psychology. She wanted me to study, what was it she wanted me to study? Like foreign exchange, to be an attaché, which could have been way fancy. But I'm a bit stubborn and I didn't want to do that. My dad had, like, at some point, he was throwing around should be a lawyer. And again, I'm like, not going to happen. I don't like studying that much. But psychology for me, here we go. This is how bad my memory is. Now that we're talking, there was a teacher in high school. She was a nun. I'm still in touch with her every now and again. And she was one of the ones that also said, you should consider psychology. She had studied psychology and she said, you should consider it because you've got the people skills for it. That's how good my memory is. I completely forgot about that bit.
Look at that. So then you did some studies in Philippines and you felt that it was the best option then coming with Australia with your mom and give you the chance to be here. So you mentioned about your struggles that was difficult coming in the winter time, not knowing anyone and having this gap, 6 months to get into school. And how was going to university? Because the gap was a moment for you to reevaluate. And then going to university and having the first encounter with students, the system, the culture.
How
was for you?
I think 2 months into being here, I remember asking my mum if I could buy a textbook because I felt that my brain was drying up because I wasn't doing anything except being in chat rooms, talking to friends. So I actually voluntarily purchased a textbook. I don't know if I've probably still got it somewhere here, that was my way of kind of just, keeping the challenge going. During the first, in the first 4 weeks of university, you have the option to be able to drop. You don't have to pay.
Yes.
I think it was week 3. I just remember going home crying, going, I don't know how it's going to work. I can't understand them, the accent, the Australian accent. I can't understand them. They can't understand me. And it was this is not good. Like, I have to go up. This isn't working. And it was both my brothers that had that conversation of just give it some time. It's only been a short time. It's only been really, 3 weeks of you being around other people. But it was hard, like, you'd say, and it still happens now. Like, I called someone the other day. I tried to order postcards and she was like, what? Postcards? What? Postcards? What are they? And I had to spell it out. So, that's 23 years on, and especially when I'm tired because my accent doesn't make sense.
That's right. When you are tired, my goodness.
And this was yesterday. I'm not joking. This postcard conversation was yesterday, and I just had to kind of go, I'll spell it out for you. And she goes, postcards. So that was, it was a struggle. The A's and the I's. I don't know if you went through the same thing with the Australian accent.
Yeah.
And I even now when they try, I've got a lot of A's and I's in my name. So I just give my ID just to kind of shortcut that conversation.
Especially if I have to give my home address, I prefer giving my driver's license. Oh, here, my address. Or over the phone, can you send me your address or your email address? I said, okay, I send by text. Okay, it's much easier.
It's like my work email, which is my full last name. I'll just message that to you, or your email, and I'll sort that out. But yeah,
that's right. So, and when did you start seeing yourself as enjoying what you were doing during your time at university? Did you get this point, or you went through everything feeling that the decision to come was not something wise?
When I started feeling smart and people were coming to me and asking me questions about things, and I'm like, what? This is the first time in my life. I needed to be tutored when I was in high school, and now suddenly I'm the smart one and I know the things. that was when I kind of went, oh, better stay here. But no, like, I got tutored for maths in high school, and I did finally understand it, but I was never kind of maybe top 10, top 20, but never one. And then suddenly at uni, I was the one that didn't really have many friends. But if anyone had, again, because I didn't like talking because they couldn't understand me, I couldn't understand them, so I kept to myself, hang out in the library for most of the first half of that course, and then it was the bar on the second half of that course, and I finally made friends. But it was, yeah, I started noticing like I'm be getting the phone calls or the emails the night before exams, or if there was technical questions, and I'm like, oh, kind of like being kind of blended in on that. And I think part of it also was when I started working, because that was the main thing, right? It was to get my life on my own merit. So it was, yeah, just when I guess I started venturing out and became part of the bigger community was when I kind of went, I actually like this. And I have a feeling this would be the same for you. When you don't have to sit 2 hours in traffic and you can safely take public transport, that was a big thing for me.
That's so wonderful you to mention this, because for a newcomers, it's always especially because I use newcomers instead of migrants, because migrants becomes as a label that you never belong to that place, right? It's like a few migrants until you die. So we migrate, but we are a point newcomers, and we blend in, we start learning, and a point that we accept and we understand and we are part of. So it's very important you say that when you got to understand what is happening that you didn't know about. So going to a workplace for you was probably when you're in the Philippines, you didn't have the chance of working, but you had the experience of seeing your family working and having shops and everything. And then going to the workplace in Australia, what was the main challenge for you regarding the memories that you have from home and the system from home and in Australia?
I wouldn't even put it as workplace. Even if you go with the university side of things, I think one of the key things as well with that was the first name basis. Not with the professors, not you're on first name basis, and it's not this you could talk on like the same level, and that also was a bit. This seems all right. And then working. So I started working. What was my first? I think my first actual job was a casual role with the university, just filling up envelopes and doing admin stuff. And then I started working Gloria Jean's, in a cafe. But it was just that being productive, being able to socialize with people, talking to people. I think that was really a big part, because growing up, that wasn't in the Philippines, that wasn't an option. Like if you're at university, you're at university. You don't not do the part-time work, and you not anyway, not in my situation, I should say. Like for others, it may have been the case, but for mine, it was you're at university full-time because it's a full load as well. I think it was just being able to do that and to start working, to start learning that side of things a bit earlier in life. In terms of, I guess, the key difference as well is that, again, I've never worked in the Philippines, so this is more observation. If you have, depending on which university you go to and your connections, you don't walk in on that first step of that, ladder. You kind of, depending on who you are, depending on who you know, depending where you went, you kind of go up here instead of starting here. So I think for me, I again chose to do it the hard way. I like the idea of starting, I guess, lower and working my way up. Not saying that, again, I had moments where I kind of sat there going, man, could have probably been VP by this point. Started, you start at manager, assistant manager, instead of my first full-time gig in corporate was reception, and then I became the assistant to the executive assistant.
The third in line.
This is after I'd finished my double degree. So there's a part of you that thinks, had you stayed in the Philippines, assistant manager for sure.
So the comparison is there all the time, like tick tick tick. Hey, look who you left behind, where they are at, and you are here. You are here working hard and with your philosophy that you want to grow, right?
How I'm gonna do this my way, and then there's times where it's like, why couldn't I just do it the easy way?
That's right. So, and after getting these jobs that you are the assistant of the assistant, how was for you when you had to talk with people from the Philippines or even of your family to explain what you're doing? How did you feel their attitude, your reception, or in understanding your journey?
I think it kind of goes back to I've never really felt like I belonged 100%. Back home, I look different. Here, I talk different. My family as well. I think just that decision that I took to kind of go, you know what, I'm going to do this the hard way, did not also make sense to a lot of them.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I just kind of, I guess I'm focused on like if I make a decision, I back myself. I don't because if it doesn't work out, it's on me, right? I don't. If I do regret, and when I think of should have done it that way, that's a conversation I have with myself. I'd never admit. I probably would never admit it to family. So that means probably I won't be sending them link to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But
Or no, they may. They
because
know.
because I grew up and they were always critical that it just didn't really kind of did my own thing, made the decision, stuck by it, and whatever they thought, not that it didn't matter, but I guess it's either I've repressed it or I just really kind of went, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm going to do it. And, it's also something that hasn't just been that decision that I made to come to Australia. It's also been in the way that, like, when I've changed careers and, I went from an office job on, corporate land to shoveling and hosing and being dirty and mining. That was another thing that even my colleagues, my friends, my family, I don't think it did not make sense to them. I don't think they still understand why I did it. So there's been a few of those similar decisions where I've just kind of gone, sounds fun, let's give it a crack.
Yeah, I know, and you'll be there talking about another one. But tell me one thing. So people, when they migrate or they come to a new country, a new city, take them a time to really connect deeply with others. And especially coming from a country that the culture is always very invasive,
Mm-hmm.
they want to be together, they want to know about your life, and despite it's very friendly, but it's always too much sometimes, right? So coming to a country like Australia, when people are more reserved, they not superficial, say reserved.
Yes, yes.
How long took you to break this mold and feel that you have friends in Australia that are not just newcomers?
Not long because my mum didn't really, I guess this is where my experience may be a bit different. Again, I don't know any better, but my mum didn't really spend too much time with Filipino groups.
Mm.
Actually, maybe she had like one or two Filipino friends, but we didn't, yeah, we didn't fall into, I guess, that circle. And so when I was at university, because the only other Filipino, there was another Filipino guy who was quite good and we became friends. And then there was another one who didn't really pretended he wasn't. So that was out of that. So I've never been, I guess I had no choice. I had to, I don't know, assimilate, but I had to kind of put myself out there. And the school that I went to, it was the university that I went to, it was quite multicultural, but mainly Australian. So I guess within, a few months of having been at that uni, I think the first close friend that I had there, she was Italian, but grew up in, country Victoria. So I just went that way really. And my ties to the Philippines were my friends back home. There was no we didn't hang out with the groups that were in the area. I didn't have that. And the instances where I did have that were not, I think as you were mentioning, were not nice. I remember one time one of my dad's friends, brother, sister, you know how we get interconnected. And it's like, oh, you're there. Oh, we know someone who's connected like 5 steps away, but hang out. So I went and helped out. And uh, this was like for prayers, for like a novena sort of thing. So I went to help out, all Filipinos. And because I look like this, a lot of them don't expect me to understand the dialect. I think a number of them assume that, that side of things. So some of my early interactions were actually Filipinos like talking about me, but not realizing that I could understand. And in this instance, I think this was 6 7 years I was already here, and they started talking amongst each other around, was I here to get married so I could get the paperwork and the visa. And if I was just looking for a husband, that type of conversation. So I joined in the dialect because I understood. And I just said, actually, I've got my Australian passport. So, that's not what I'm here for. And I know it's stereotyping and not everyone's been like that. And I've kind of stepped in and out of, Filipino groups and I know a few people around, but that was heartbreaking. And it just kind of reminds you of, as much as I hate to say it, but sometimes you kind of go, glad I got out of that. Because imagine if that was your full environment. But that's the bit where it, it kind of hurts, but then it kind of makes the homesickness and the challenge that you go through to do better worth it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's happened. It's happened a few times where people, they don't realize I understand. So it's always fun.
It's very interesting because sometimes, even in your own country, people are talking about you and not realizing that you are around just because you are different.
Mm-hmm.
And you can talk in little dialects, right? So not you have many dialects in Brazil. You have in the south of Brazil, but you have different accents and sometimes different meaning for the words. So you need to be very careful as well. So Erica, so you immersed in yourself, like got to know people and then went to the workplace. So when did you really start getting into your qualification and skills and working as someone responsible for HR or working in any position that you felt, well, now I am doing something that I work for?
I think from the very beginning, from the very first job, because now I'm going to spill quite a bit. Growing up, I was always treated as, for lack of a better term, the useless one.
Oh, in your family or inside of the community?
In my family, I was the youngest. I was the only girl, and I was the youngest by 10 years. So I was a bit babied. And in high school, I constantly used to leave my assignments behind. And we were lucky enough to have help and have this whole community of people that helped out. But I was always, I guess, hopeless. did not have like I said, assignments always got left behind. So you have to ring up and go, hey, can you just drop it off? Wasn't useful in the kitchen either. So remember when I started, yes, I know, right? Yep. There's many people that still think the whole cookie business was just a fraud and it wasn't actually me. And even when my brother came to visit once and I cooked and he was like, edible? What?
Really?
I'm not sure about this. So I think from the get-go, even that first job of filling the envelopes or the coffees at Gloria Jean's, I took pride in that because I felt like I was already 5 steps ahead because growing up, I don't think anyone had like really much. I don't want to say that. Maybe they did, but again, it was one of those I'll get by because the family knew someone or that sort of thing. So I've always been proud to have work, which is the challenge when I was out of work, that I was like, who am I? What am I? I'm not contributing to the community. Oh my God, I'm useless. What am I going to do? But in terms of HR side of things, I guess my current role is my most senior role. So it's a superintendent role, and I'm actually leading a team of 3. So I'm really, I am very, very proud of that. And looking back, I've got different careers. Recruitment, I was doing quite well, but I decided I needed a change, and that's when I became a process technician, which is manual labor, blue collar, shoveling, hosing, and that was I started that job a week after my graduation from my master's in HR. So not your usual move, I suppose. And I remember the crew on site, a few people actually inquired as to my mental health and my stability.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing here, lady.
Yeah. Well, I actually had one of the guys. He just looked at me and he went, "You're not right. You're not right up there." I'm like, "Excuse me?
No way.
What do you mean?" And he was just like, "Everyone does it. Everyone starts in the blue collar role and then goes white collar. No one does white collar to blue collar. That's just crazy. That's just madness." And that was one thing where that's, I think, in that job, because it was so far out of what anyone expected me to do. I'm scared of heights. The pumps, I was never good, still not technically. So, they were the blue things, or the thingy that does the other thing and the thing, like technical side of things. I wasn't very good, wasn't very strong when I started. So I always needed to kind of wait on someone else to undo things and all that. And I remember, just being on the tools, being hands on. And I remember just sitting there going, man, if my dad could see me now, or if my brothers could see me now, or, all my cousins, my brother was always worried that I was going to hurt myself, because he's just like, I don't understand why they even let you do this. Like, have they met you? there was a lot of that. And even there were moments where you kind of sat there going, yeah, fair point. But I think that was, I'm proud of what I've accomplished as to where I am now. But in terms of being, I think, out of my comfort zone, it would have been that process tech role, was just manual, dirty, grotty, night shift, heights, things that was just, nothing really came naturally to me. So,
It's very
but
confronting.
yeah, it is very confronting. But I think this is the advantage of being, the way I see it anyway. This is the advantage of everything I think I've done since I've arrived in Australia has been, I walked away from family, I walked away from friends, I walked away from that, what I knew, what was comfortable, what was this. So I need to take advantage of the opportunities that came my way. And that, even I think, even with the study, it was like, well, I gave up so much. I need to make this work. I need to do better. I need to do better than I usually would. Like, I just need to work hard, because you see photos of, friends hanging out, or birthdays over there, because it's never the same, right? Like, these are people that have known me since I was born. It's never the same. And I get homesick, and I feel all that. And I guess I just use it to go, you know what? I'm gonna make this into an adventure that makes it everything worthwhile. I think, and I think that's the greatest advantage. And I say this, I have done a couple of presentations in Kalgoorlie, the School of Mines.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of international students, and that's the thing that I tell them, is that don't think that, looking for a job, that's easy. Like, look at what you've done. Look, you've made a conscious effort to get out of your comfort zone, to go away from,
Yes.
the embrace of, I don't want to say ease, but what's known. So anything after this is going to be a walk in the park. I think that's just how I've approached it.
Yeah, it's something that normally I say to my mentees and people that I work with, that newcomers, they come they live where they are, there they were, because they're not happy with something. It doesn't mean that you are unhappy, but seems that you want something else, right?
Yeah.
You want something else. But coming to a first country, a first world country as Australia, then they come with the qualifications, sometimes experience, and they come ready to be the best and have the best. And then for some reason, they become a second-class citizen. They see themselves this way. People are better than me. People they have more advantage. I'm competing with the locals. My color, my hair, my everything, and they become behind the scenes of their shades that I'm not good enough to be there, and people are better than me. So I need to stick with anything that is something that is not what I want. And instead of seeing this as an opportunity for me to grow, and what can I do with this as I move on? And it's something that really I have been watching and observing, working with newcomers. And that's why my mission is to help them to understand that they are not the job title. They come here to contribute, and opportunities are there. And job takes even time. You are back in the country, right? It takes you a time to understand, and coming to a new culture, to a new system, you need first to learn what is different and what is similar for you to be able to move on. And otherwise you get a job and you don't know the system, and then you get there and you don't feel that you are part of, and you went like walk away because people don't understand me, they don't like me, and things, that situation. And working as a HR, how many newcomers you haven't seen that have so many talents, but they couldn't really stay in the job position because they didn't believe themselves?
Oh, So many. And it's also like sometimes I feel like it's the stories we tell ourselves that do the disservice, because I think we're too hard. We're too hard on ourselves. I'll use, we've got, and it's the culture as well, because we're adjusting to so much difference, right? So, there's the job and the culture, and I think in Australia it can be quite confronting for some how I can't think of the right word, but not casual, but how even it can be, like, with the hierarchy and speaking up as well. And there are still instances of discrimination, with the accent of, can't understand and that side of things. There's so many. I think that there's just so many. I know where I'm working, there's a whole mixture, and it's usually the ones that are the newcomers are a bit more timid. And like you said, they're still trying to figure a lot of things out. But it's also, I think, the asking for help aspect, like admitting. I don't want to phrase this. I think it's mainly, don't treat the difference as the gap. Treat the difference as your selling point, because, like, I think everyone's different, but I think sometimes with newcomers, we are the ones that keep highlighting why we're different. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but I did. I was at Wassam last week, and there was a student. He was from the Philippines, and I was really excited that there's now, like, there's a handful, not as many as other demographics, but there's a handful, because you always want to help, right? You always want to push them forward. Like, I've been lucky in the opportunities that I've gotten. I want to kind of pay it forward. And he doesn't have relevant mining experience, and it's just like, yeah, but you have work experience. And again, that conversation of, you've done the hardest thing you could possibly do, mate. Finding a job, holding on to a job is not going to be as hard as going, you know what, I'm gonna leave everything I know behind. Yeah, I think we just need to be very careful in how by we, I mean, newcomers. Not that 23 years, I don't count as a newcomer anymore, do I?
No, but when you come with it, you
I'm
think
an old
about
hand.
where you are.
I also think it's society as well, and the way we're programmed. It's the sameness, and we kind of, we want to blend in, we want to do all that, but just watch your inner monologue. If you wouldn't say it to someone else, don't say it to yourself, because then you're your own undoing. It's not even anyone else. It's not the environment around you. It's you. So
it's your own creation of a reality that you see in front of you, because you cannot see what's over there.
Yeah, but I'm just the thing that surprises me, though, is that I shouldn't say no one, not many reflect on how strong they already are by just making that initial decision to come here.
Yes, that's right. So the big part is a decision to move away from where they were. And being, like, aware that to be able to grow, you need to leave that space, right? Otherwise, you stay there, but you're not happy because you're not seeing any opportunity, you're not create. So when I say that we create opportunities, because people wait for the opportunity, you don't wait for the opportunity, you create the opportunity. And then if you don't go and network, if you don't know to get people, if you don't go to learn about something, you cannot create anything. So in having this kind of creation that you left where you felt uncomfortable or being comfortable, move it to another place to feel completely uncomfortable, completely lost, unknown, it's a great opportunity for you to learn.
But I think it's also the openness, being open.
Yes. Be open to learn.
Yeah, and being open, and not being, I guess, limited, because I can only speak to my experience. I finished my master's in HR. If I just said, oh no, because in the Philippines, the next thing you do after a master's is you go and work and you build on that, and you don't go and pick up a shovel and become dirty and do the blue collar work. Oh no, you don't do that. Like, that's a waste of, at that point in time, 8 years at university or more. I think that's also something that potentially newcomers can get stuck in, that expectations. But is it your expectations or is it back home's expectations of you? So, we kind of have one foot in our current world and we still have another foot in that other world, and it's like, well, who's making the decisions? Like, which way do we want to go? So,
and it's always what I say. As a migrant, a newcomer, you know where you come from, but where are you going to? That's the big difference, right? So
you're
because
gonna keep
otherwise,
all the voices back home ruling your
yeah,
world. Well, you might
that's
as well
right.
have
You have a
stayed.
choir. You have a choir singing for you all the time.
But if you're gonna let them rule your world, you might as well go back and do it the easy way.
That's right. And having more support.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you've got more options. Yeah.
Yeah. So Erica, so you are a very you have this mind to be adventurous and creating opportunities and being curious. So at a certain point in time when I met you, you were just with these wonderful cookies that when I ate, I said, oh my goodness, man, we eat these cookies every day. And we went through the business program together, and I admired you so much because you put your soul making that biscuits, and they are so lovely. I couldn't stop thinking of them. I just want to buy the whole lot and give to everyone. So tell us, how was the story behind it? As you didn't cook anything home, like back in the Philippines, how you became this cook lady?
The story behind that was actually so wow. I didn't think I would become emotional, but now I'm kind of being overcome by emotion. So the story behind the cookies, I was a process tech, right? With the shoveling and the hosing and all that sort of stuff. I did that for about 3 years. I hurt my wrist, so I couldn't do it. And for about 18 months, yeah, so since the injury, I basically got bullied. Everyone on site was like, oh, she's faking it. She's making it this, making it that. So I essentially got bullied out of that role. And it wasn't diagnosed, but I would hazard a guess that potentially depression came after that. I would wake up in the morning, I'd shower, I'd go into my day pajamas, I would sit on the couch and I would watch the X-Files. And then when it was 5 o'clock, I would shower and go into my night pajamas. And I was too scared to watch the X-Files at nighttime, so I'd watch something else. But I did that for about 3 or 4 months, because this was when I guess I was told that, I couldn't go back to the role that I was doing and there was nothing else. So I finished up with that job. And this was the bit where my identity was so tied to work that I literally, I kid you not, I remember just sitting on the couch and kind of going like, what am I bringing to society? Like, I'm actually not contributing. Like, I'm not, who am I? And just this whole, it was about 3 months was really bad. And I didn't even realize how bad it was until like my partner, Marty, started talking about, oh, what about these cookies? Because the cookies I started making while I was still working on site. And it got to a point that, you got this big burly men fighting over the last couple of cookies. And people were like, you've got something here. Like, this is different. But I thought, it's too hard. Like, cookies, food business, who wants that headache? Not me. And then he started kind of going, just try, just see. And we went to one of the markets, just scoping it out. And I thought I saw someone from my crew, and I had a panic attack. And I didn't even realize that I had internalized what had happened in the last 18 months that much. So that moment I kind of went, oh, like they actually, because I'm a bit, I've got the fiery Spanish blood in me, so I find.
Yeah, I know.
I'm fine. Like, I'll take it. And so I think I was busy doing that. Then I forgot that. Yeah, I kind of realized a bit late that I'm like, oh, that actually, that impacted me. So the cookies was what Marty refers to as my get off the couch exercise. And literally that's how I built my confidence. So through that little like cookie caper, I did it for about, I think, 3 or 4 years. And I managed to meet, people like yourself. I did Ignition, and even that situation with Ignition, I think the year that we did it, which was 2017, there was a few of us that were food related.
Yes.
But it wasn't that program. People came up to you and was like, what's your innovation? Like, here, put this in your mouth. Innovate this. That was generally my, and you were really treated quite different, even because I used to do a lot of those events, because I had time. I was trying to, and the funny thing was, I don't know if you were there, but there was a lot of, because I used to put myself out there and be like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I remember.
I'll go to this, I'll do this, and they'd be like, cookies, like the internet cookies, no, like the edible cookies, because people just
internet if they eat you.
yeah, but I don't know. I just kind of put myself in situations. So that was pretty much, that's how that started. That basically started because, I guess, in a nutshell, but I'm an oversharer and I will go with the roundabout way. I needed to piece myself together, but I didn't want to go back to the workforce because I wasn't ready to face people. Like that was pretty much it. That was the start of the cookie caper.
But you made so much success with the
Pretty
cookies
good.
because they're pretty wonderful, so addictive, right? You eat one and then you want another one, and you start making all these kind of different flavors, and the package was so beautiful, so
Thank
cute,
you.
and everything. So when I met you at Through Ignition, I was completely like magneted by you, like magneted, oh, I don't
Well,
know, attracted to you.
remember, I'm going to tell you, do you remember that we were the only two that sat in the same spot the whole 5 days? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Our spot, front and center, like there was nothing else. And everyone was like, oh, I'm going to go to a different spot today. And you and I were like, nope.
No, this is our spot here in front. You want to absorb everything, like learn from the top, like the top ones. And then for me, it was you being there. I never suspected you were from the Philippines until I heard something. And I was, what? And then I got even more curious about it. I said, I need to know more about this lady. And when I saw all your creativity and you doing all the things, for me, I felt so passionate about you and your product and what you're offering. So, and then a point that I want to buy to all my clients, buy to all my friends and say, hey, I want to buy for all of them. And then it came to you on a big batch.
You're wonderful. Thank you.
And then you like spent 3-4 years doing the cookies and everyone knew you, everyone buying. And then suddenly I see the news. Erica is back to the workforce. And what happened?
Well, I think it just because I was doing it, you also gotta when you do food business, like especially from home, you gotta do the local council approvals, and that was the time of COVID, and the local council people, like every time the person changed, like the expectations changed, and you like, but God, like it should be a guideline. So it was just COVID. Also I had I was very lucky, and the stuff that I learned, the people that I met through doing the cookies is just I couldn't have designed it that way. I don't know I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I'm gonna take it anyway. But it's like this opportunity. Without that, we our paths wouldn't have crossed, right? But it just got to a point where it wasn't giving me joy. I was doing because I was also doing 4 dozen at a time in the home kitchen, because the whole point of the cookies was to give back to the community in the Philippines. So it wasn't really like, if I moved premises, or there were offers, like got offered to have like a shop front, but then your overheads rise. So that wasn't the point of it. The point of it was to make it as simple as possible in the back end, so that the more money I could send back to the Philippines to help kids. And that was the whole point of it. And then I remember I got a phone call. This would have been 2019, when I was doing my biggest order, which was around 8,000 to 10,000 cookies for HPF. And this was like the 5th order for HPF this year. This was the biggest one. And I got a phone call, basically being headhunted for a role. And I think it was just the timing of it that I kind of went, oh man, I don't think I'll miss cleaning up the icing sugar and dealing with all this, because it took over the house, right? It took over the house. Because if I was baking, I wasn't going to cook dinner, so it was going to be takeaway. And it was just, yeah, it was just the timing of it that I got that phone call. Like I remember getting the phone call. I was in my apron because I was in the middle of baking, and then I kind of went, oh yeah, we'll have a chat, see how we go. And it just, again, it's at that moment it felt right. I think this was also, but I was still accepted the role on the premise that I was going to continue doing the cookies. And then 2020, COVID hit, and COVID, I was still getting a few orders because there was a lot of people that were sending stuff to loved ones and all that side of things. And then just the local council person, because we were due for an inspection around March and we got locked down in March, right? So they cancelled it. And then in June, either May or June, I got this angry email basically blaming me for not having done the inspection and all that. And I just remember sitting here going, I don't think I need your crap. I don't want to deal with this crap anymore. And and I guess I just kind of went, well, what was the whole point of the cookies was to rebuild me and to continue to be able to provide and assist with the projects that I was doing in the Philippines. So those were the key things. The cookie was just the medium. It was the medium. It wasn't like the end all. And I went, well, if I accept, working this role, and if I continue this way, I can actually continue to do stuff in the Philippines. So all those projects that I was doing in the Philippines with the cookies, I'm still doing. So it's still, I guess what I started, what I learned is still continuing. The skill set that I learned, the marketing, the Canva, the social media, all that sort of stuff I've used in my role since. So yeah, I think it was time. The joy wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And also the other side of it was we got dogs, and you can't have like a home-based cookie business.
Yeah.
The dogs were, the big dog that we've got was a big fan. She when I roll out, because sometimes I still bake for friends, right? Like, when there's special requests, when I roll out my racks, she knows what's
She
coming.
has the memories of, I know you want to say,
and see what she's done now. When it was a registered business, I would obviously, like, they would be outside, and you have to do the whole thing because of the cross contamination. But now, so I kind of just leave it there. She has snuck in from the bottom of my rack to push a cookie so it would fall and she could have it. So that was what we were dealing with.
I know, because the cooks are wonderful. I would be delighted to be with her, by her side, just waiting for a cookie, just dropping into my mouth as well.
Oh, the number of people that I think would not know my name, but see me as a cookie lady. There was even a funny story. One of the mining companies, he's passed away now. He was the CEO of one of the listed like ASX 200 company. So when I was doing the cookies, my former employer was also like, if they needed some help, I would help them out. This is executive search recruitment. And now I went to a meeting and I brought the cookies, and it was a very high level. I think it was a board or whatever. It was a high level role, this meeting. The boss of the company that I worked for was in front, and he was presenting and had the cookies there. And then the CEO of this mining company, and it was the chocolate sprinkles one. He had one, and he interrupted the whole presentation. He's like, "You're the cookie lady. I've had this before. I had this like a woman in mining thing," and all that sort of stuff. So there was a lot of crossover, and even this, and when I took that full-time role, so when I finally the phone call that I got, and I went, okay, I'll go back. One of the first client meetings we had was with this same company, and my boss was doing introductions, right? And the people, the HR person and the CEO from this company, they're like, we know who she is, and we know about the cookies. Yes. So when you come to the office, just make sure that there's cookies.
It's another role. You have your obligation.
So it got to a point that I'm like, even when I was away from it, and even like now, so what? It's a few years now, 3 years on. Obviously, when people go through LinkedIn or when they search on social media, I will randomly get people come to the office. So baking, hey? It depends if you're nice, but no, it was like it was a very interesting adventure. Absolutely, like, enjoyed it, and still use a lot of what I've learned, and I'm very grateful for like people like yourself. There's a few other people from Ignition again 2017 that are just And fun fact, the 2 puppies that we've got out of the 3 is because of Ignition as well. So Ignition,
Really? You got to know someone had puppies and then you bought the puppies.
well, gave me one. Do you
Okay.
remember? Yeah, Andreas. He was in our year. He did.
Yes.
Yeah. So he sent me a message going, "Do you want one?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we had no dogs. Now we have 3. It's all his fault. It's all Ignition.
Oh, Ignition has giving so many roots. Oh, that's so wonderful. I loved Ignition and the time was so great. And last Wednesday, I was in the She Codes Foundation program
Yeah.
women
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
pitching their ideas. And I said, look, I feel like the time I was pitching my idea in front of everyone and
Yeah.
wanting to get money, and I got the money.
Yeah.
So I was so proud of that moment in my life,
Yeah.
and look,
Very good.
and people that I met there are like incredible, and I still connect
Yeah.
to a few of them, and part of the group is still, and it's so
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's
And that's
wonderful.
the kind of opportunities when you give yourself the
Yeah.
opportunity to create and get to know more people that you can learn from and you can contribute to share your
It's
journey.
stepping out of your comfort zone, isn't it? Because
Yes.
you really wouldn't do stuff like that if you were in your protection safe mode.
Yes. So let's go back to the question of having a different surname, because Erica is something people can get. So surname, a Spanish surname that is more like, well, they look at you and they see you, if they don't know you, if they're checking your documents, or the Philippines, and you have a Spanish surname. If they know anything about history, they probably look at you and say, who are you?
Oh, man.
How is this identity of being a face of someone who doesn't look like Filipino, but then has a name that is a surname that is Spanish surname? And then what's the confusion there, Erica?
I think I've just gone through life confused. That's why, like, I guess it never bothered me because ever since, I was a kid in this little town in the Philippines, like everyone kind of knew who I was because I stood out, you like honestly. And then, when I went to study in university in Manila, that was probably the worst. I guess that was where I felt that being different was bad. Beforehand, it was just being different. And then yeah, that was where, like, where did you get your contact lens from? Or where did you get, because I guess in my hometown, the family had been there for a while, so it wasn't a novelty. Yeah, it just wasn't a novelty. Mind you, I had a cousin of mine that used to pick on me for being Spanish, but he was of the same bloodline, so make sense of that. Like, really would literally pick on me. And I remember kind of standing there at one point going, but like, you're Spanish too. And anyway, yeah, I think university was where I kind of first felt that being different was bad. And then yeah, it was the eyes, the hair color, the skin, the accent. The accent was the worst. And then coming to Australia, my uncle actually said, just be careful. Australians are quite racist, but your nose will blend in now, because in the Philippines, my nose stood out. And, I've got friends that pick on me when I've got my glasses that don't have the stand here, and they're like, oh, we can't use that because we don't have, So that was always the thing. And I guess I've never just comfortably fit into that box. That I gave up on the box a long time ago.
You
I
just
would say,
opened the lid and said, see you later.
Whatever. Stuff the box. The accent, like I said to you, like, yesterday, there's still words that I can't pronounce properly, but now it's a bit like, I have this vivid memory of growing up in the Philippines. It was always the American accent was the acceptable one. That's how you knew you were educated, you were from the right family, you went to the right school. I never had that. I have like a different accent. And I remember I got into Formula One when I first moved to Melbourne, and watching those post-race interviews when everyone sounded different. And that's when I kind of went, this is all right. I can do different. My last name, I forget how to spell it sometimes, so it doesn't really bother me too much when people don't know how to say it or how to pronounce it. I did a job ages ago that required oh, you're north of the river, yeah? Troy Picard used to be the mayor. Was it Picard?
Yeah,
The
Troy
mayor
Picard.
up there. Yeah. So there was a job that we did, and part of it we had to attend the local government meetings, and he had to read out the attendees, and he did not like reading out my surname. And I remember he came to me after the meeting. He goes, "Can you just find someone like, I don't know, Smith or something?"
Oh my goodness, he was something.
And the funny thing was, when I had my graduation for my master's, he was also there, and then you had to kind of write how to, you had to submit how you wrote your name phonetically, which I'd never had to do before. But no, I've been introduced as, Erica Uruguay, just because it was easier for
Right.
me. There's a UR and there's a Q.
Yes, you look like, right?
Of course, that's how you say it. So I'm just kind of, I don't know. I think I've just kind of blended in, just accepted it, I guess. Yeah, like I said, it confuses me how to spell it sometimes, so I don't take offense. And the Uruguay thing, hey, if it's easier, just go with it and we'll live with it. I remember I got introduced to a client as Erica Uruguay, and then when that person who introduced left the room, the client looked at me and looked at how my name was spelled in the document and goes, "It's not how you say it, is it?"
No.
But I've tried to explain it. It's not worth it, mate. Let's just leave it.
Yeah, that's right. Has been otherwise it's a work that you need to do all the time, right? So leave it. That's fine.
There's certain people that do. I've had instances as well of people start speaking to me in Spanish when they see the last name, or they start like Basque, because it's actually Basque, which is like the north of Spain. I've never been there. All my family are traveling through. I'm seeing all the photos, but yeah, and I've had instances where I used to work when I was at uni. This was at the cinemas, and they would literally start talking to me in Spanish, and I would have to do the.
Oh, wait a minute. My parents didn't teach me.
My parents didn't teach me. Funny enough, when I was in year 6, I tried to teach myself. I borrowed a Spanish book in the library, and then I started to understand the adult conversations, and I got in so much trouble. So I was banned. I was banned from learning Spanish. That was the end of my Spanish learning. But yeah.
That's so wonderful, Erica. So I would like to ask you, because you said you sometimes having the homesick and helping kids back in the Philippines with your cookies or your projects. So why do you do this projects helping kids? What motivates you? I know you love contributing. I know you have this sense that you are someone here to contribute to the society, but why kids and why back in Philippines?
Back in the Philippines, because like I said, when people when to this day, Seema, when people ask me where are you from, my answer will be Philippines, and they're like, no, where are you from in Perth? Because I think my identity is just so tied. I am who I am, very much in a large part because of my upbringing. Of the friends and neighbors that I've had, like I said, it's weird because I've been in Australia longer than I ever was in the Philippines. So I moved when I was 18. I've been here now 23. But I just think that a lot of my foundations and a lot of who I am is because of those people that I grew up with. My parents, my mum and my dad, and friends as well. But mainly my parents were always, the giving back was always strong. And I just think, I'm just so fortunate. I'm so lucky in where I am, what I've managed to do. And it always goes down to, a cup of coffee here is potentially a meal for a whole week for someone there. So to me, it's, I don't know. I feel like I've been lucky. I've been successful. I would say I've been successful. And this is my way, I guess, of saying thank you and helping. At the moment we've got my partner and I, so it's joint income, so it's our project. And that was the thing, like the cookie started because we were doing Christmas parties for kids, and now we've kind of scaled it down, but we do support I think it's 5, and the older one will be finishing his teaching degree next year. So then we're just gonna but it's I don't know. I think it's a lot for them, but for me, I just kind of think if I just think twice about spending my money on a coffee every day or that side of things, it goes a long way. And it's also, I guess I've also done the hard work of, from when I was hanging out on the couch in my day pajamas to night pajamas with X-Files transition, and the work and the self-belief the mindset side of things. So that's really where I guess I'm coming from, is that if they can think that, you know, anything's possible with some support from us, then, you know, that's not just them getting out of poverty, that's also their family and the next generation. So yeah.
And as you mentioned about the cookies and your night pajamas and day pajamas, tell me one thing. Did you ever went to get some support from a professional or from the community? Because many people, many newcomers, depends on where they come from culturally, asking for help or even having this kind of realization that depression is not part of their life or anxiety, they feel ashamed and they never
Yes.
talk about and they never go to find some support. So what is your let's say what you could tell to a newcomer who is now
So
going through something, or if then one day they go through, what is the point for them to pivot?
that was me. So that was the, you know, the internal monologue of you're a failure was really strong. You don't ask for help, you just kind of continue on that cycle. My partner Marty actually dragged me to my GP. I have a wonderful GP. She's the only GP I've ever had that I actually like. So he actually dragged me to her, I think 4 months into my couch time. And she put me on, I think it was anti-anxiety medication at that point. And she actually, like, she had to do the whole, it's not bad, there's no stigma, I'm on it too, and all this and all that. And I was like, all right, well, you know, we'll try it. But still, it was that
Not
you've
right,
failed.
right? It's
You
like, all right.
like you have failed. You're wuss. You're weak. You know, you've failed. You're taking this. You're a loser, kind of thing. And I think it was a week in, and I did one of those the biz fusion biz babes. I think it was at the time breakfast, and I sat next to someone. I'm actually booked to see her. Her name's Rachel. She's a kinesiologist, and I had no idea what that was. And I was like, "What do you do?" She said, "Oh, I help women in distress." And my answer was, and she will back me up on this, I'm not a very nice person sometimes. My
Mm.
answer was, "Oh, I don't need you. I'm on anti-anxiety meds, so you know, I don't know why, but that was the funny. This was
Protection.
actually,
I don't.
yes, this was the Sunday after ignition. I remember now. So 2017, and I was like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. And I think it was like 2 months later, because everyone was like, what's a kinesiologist? Like, what do they do? And whatever. And people were like, oh, it's amazing, like, you know, whatever it was. And so after about 2 months, I remember ringing her going, hey, like, I need to book in. Like, the meds aren't working anymore. And the first words I said when we started was, I don't like talking about feelings and crap. That was my thing. Like, I don't talk because, you know, growing up, you don't talk. And it was actually quite funny because she made me do like a form, and it was, you know, there was a lot about your growing up and your childhood, and it's all the things you unpack, right? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had a really nice childhood. Like, it was fun. I had
Yeah.
opportunities and all this and all that. And she's like, no. Like, the amount of negative, like, you know, like you mentioned, the teasing and the physical appearance and the very quick judgment. She's like, that's not normal. And you kind of sat there going, what do you mean? That's not normal. And yeah, so that's the help and that's still ongoing. So this is 2017, and I'm booked in to see her next month, because even my partner, like, when he came home after that first session, he was like, what happened to you? I was just this new level of like chill. Now when I start teetering on the edge of anxiety, he's like, when are you seeing Rachel again? So I've done that. At work as well, you know, if you're already employed, if you're already at work, EAP, I've used work EAP programs a couple of times now. In Australia, we're lucky enough that if we go to a GP, we can get the mental health plan, and we can, you know, there's all these resources. I'm very big with there's a few free resources like TradeMart. They have a counseling where it's you know, this is a conversation starter. You know, I work in mining, so I've got those shirts sort of thing. But you know, take advantage of the help. You don't have to tell anyone if you don't want to, but there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, you know, your mind is your strongest asset, and this thing that can get you through. And I said, I think when you start talking to yourself in a way that you would never talk to anyone, you'd never say those things out loud to anyone else, just sort it out before it gets really bad.
Because you are very disconnected from yourself. And that's like for me, when I had my downturns, was I went through also medication and everything. And what brought me again to life, and that's why my career pivoted differently, was hypnotherapy. And
I tried that for my anxiety. It didn't work as well as kinesiology, but yeah, I tried that as well. Yeah.
And I did. And then I decided to leave my career as a medical researcher and invest 5 years of my life studying hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, and became a trainer. And I went there to help myself, but I got so amazed by the results that I said, that's what I do. And realizing that newcomers, we go through this in a certain point in life, because we go as, if you are in your own house back in your country, you can go through the same thing, because the judgment and the comparison is always there, right? And then we go to a new country, and so it goes exponential up, because higher, because you are comparing yourself with everyone else, and not just the locals, but people that you left behind. They are doing better than you, and you made a wrong choice, and you are not lucky, and people don't like you. So this kind of internal conversation is there forever, and everything that you do that you don't see as success, so you see yourself as a failure, and then contributes to accumulate that kind of I'm no one, I don't deserve anything, I'm lost. So I went through that. I told you I have so many things similar, and I went through the cooking phase as well.
Yes, you did.
I went. So I had a restaurant and everything, and realized that I was okay. That's enough for me. Now I need
hard work. Hey.
Oh yeah. I have a huge respect for people who work in hospitality, because you need to like what you do to get the situation right, because
so
much, right? And it's a lot. And so Erica, thank you very much, but I would like to ask you a last question. So as you talk about home, and coming from the Philippines, where we have so many wonderful fruits and vegetables, and you go around anywhere and you smell this season of mangoes, seasons of passion fruit, seasons of watermelon everywhere. The smell is there, the color is there. So, and coming to Australia, we don't have this. You go to supermarket, everything, they don't have smell, right? They don't smell like we have at home, like having parsley or coriander is smelling like home. No, it's different. So, the first time that I realized is when I went to America and Canada, everything was so beautiful, but there was no smell.
Yeah.
And, the good smell of the fruits and vegetables. So which kind of fruit do you miss? Because now we have everything in Perth. You can go to Filipinos.
Yeah, but I'm not paying those prices. I'm not going to remortgage my house for like, what is it, $30 a kilo of mango? No, thank you. For airfares. There is so much. The thing that I used to really miss, but now we have three of these plants, is it's called calamansi. It's a like a Filipino kumquat. And the smell, like when I smell it, it's just
childhood.
Home. It's home. And it's not even like, you don't eat it as like an orange, but it's usually like in a dippy sauce or like lemonade. You freshly squeeze calamansi juice, but it's the smell of it, because usually you'll have it with like a barbecue, or it's quite versatile. It's home. And again, when I met Marty, I don't know how it got started or whatever it was. So he researched, I think the first plant we got, like he researched for a few months, and we got it, drove like an hour to get this. And and now, because we've got three, so there's so much of it, and I'm the only one that likes it, because everyone at home thinks it smells like gross. But to me, like, even
can you make some jellies or anything, compotes?
No, so I just squeeze it, because I like it either as a juice or in dipping sauce, pork chop rice, and some calamansi and soy sauce dipping sauce. But it's just, I don't know, it's just, every time I smell it, when I pick it, when I slice it, when I can smell it, it just takes me back. And everyone here is like, oh, it's that gross smell. It's the, what does he call it? It's the juice of Satan. And I'm here like, oh, it's not so wonderful. And everyone else is like, oh, Can you just not have that in the house?
It's like me when I went back to Brazil early in August. I was so crazy about cashew fruit, and I bought so many and put inside of the fridge of the hotel. And my man said, "What is this smell? Can you stop this smell? Can you send this fruit somewhere?" I said, "No, this smell is so wonderful. I want this smell. I want to bring it home with me."
I actually had someone once. So the tree used to be at the front of the house, and I had someone when I was doing the cookies. They picked up cookies. They ordered cookies, so they picked it up from here. And I was talking. It was a husband and wife. So I was talking to the husband, and the wife, who was Singaporean. The tree was about 2 meters from the front door. She went and started picking without asking. And she was
so
very rough. And she was very rough with my tree. Like I saw it, like she pulled it and it swang. And I'm like,
it's my tree.
And then no, she comes back with like a handful of these things, and she's like, "Do you know what these are?" And I'm literally just standing there going, like, it's 2 meters from my door. Of course I know what it is. Didn't even ask. Nothing. I was raging. When they left, I was like, "We're moving that tree. That tree is going out back. That's not staying out there because I'm not having that again."
It's my property. No one can touch it.
Like, but I think she was just so excited as well. She's like, "Oh my God, do you know what it is?" And I was like,
yeah, I
"Oh
would.
my
I would
God."
be too. If it was something that I missed from home, I would like embrace the tree. Like, can I bring the tree home with me? I would be in a fight with you, Erica.
It just blew my mind that she was just like, "Oh, and she had like a handful. Oh my God. But anyway, now we've got 3, so we've got more than enough, but I'm still not going to share with her because she didn't know.
I need to go and experience this. Look, which message would you like to leave for anyone here in Australia going through things that you went through, and what was the best situation that you see that now when you look back was not the best situation but the best solution for you? If you knew it, would it be easier for you, or even going through what you went through helped you to be where you are today?
I think everything that I guess you could label as bad that has happened has actually turned out to be for the better. It's easy to say it now because I'm out of it, but back at that time, it just didn't feel like it. So I guess, if you're going through those bad times, just realize that it's not always going to be forever, but it's also up to you to get yourself out of that situation. Either listen to friends and family that are trying to help, like when my partner dragged me to my GP to get me on the meds and kind of got me into that point of, okay, maybe I need more than just my jammies and X-bars kind of thing. Take advantage of, I guess, the avenues that are available for help. I said, with the GP, the mental health plan, and if work has EAP, just use that. But you've got to help yourself. It's easier said than done, but I think there will come a moment where you kind of sit there and go, no, like something's got to change.
Yeah.
And be open. I think be open, if it's not your usual mode of operation, just try it anyway and see how it goes.
Okay.
It would either stay the same or get better.
Why not? So, Erica, thank you very much for coming, for sharing your life career journey and being so sincere, so genuine as you always are. So, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed my chat with you, and I'm your big fan, and especially knowing you and knowing your journey, right? And being so yeah, I admire you. That's the main thing. I admire you.
That feeling is very mutual. I admire you so much, and like I said, I've been cheering on since we used to sit next to each other all those years ago.
That's right. So for you who have been here with us and watching to the end, thank you very much for staying, for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and leave your comments. And Erica is on LinkedIn if you want to contact her, and if you want to ask her, or if you relate to him career journey, why not connect with her as well? So thank you very much, and see you next. See you, Erica. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.